you're going to want to bring in Windows Phone specific features. So I'm going to show you a couple of phone gap things that allow you to do that. The important thing you want to do, though, is add the features in such a way that they don't break your code for the other platforms. You want to be able to maintain cross-platform compatibility between devices. So here's an example of integrating phone gap with one of the constructs on Windows Phone, which is called our app bar. Now, the first thing I want to show you is the app bar. I think you may have seen it already in some of the other demos. But if I go into the search app on the phone, this is not my phone gap stuff running. This is just the Bing search app that comes with Windows Phone. The app bar is what lives along the bottom of the screen. You see I have 4 buttons on my app bar. The first one is Local Scout. The next thing is for doing music identification, which is a little bit like Shazam. This is for doing visual identification, and this is for giving your phone some voice commands. In addition, I have menus down here. And the nice thing about the app bar is if I rotate the phone, the buttons will rotate properly to the bottom. Don't interfere with the screen. They have a nice translucency there. So how would we add one of these to our phone gap application? Well, a lot of people take the approach of saying, well, I'll just duplicate this in HTML5 and JavaScript. I'll make a div that I'm going to pop up and down. I'll put some icons on it. I'll manage, click events on the divs. And it turns out that you really kind of want to keep the app bar outside of your HTML for your phone gap because it's so much easier to work with. Let me go to my code now for my phone gap application and show you that what I've done is I have my phone gap view. This is my HTML5 host right there. But then below it, I have my phone application page. I have one button on this page, and the icon is refresh. It's a little graphic. And then I have a little bit of C# code that when the user clicks on the refresh button, it goes into the web part of the application and invokes a script called appBarRefresh. AppBarRefresh is on my index.html page right here. So this is some nice interactivity between the hosting Windows Phone application and the phone gap application. So I'll run it and you'll see that the app bar in our phone gap app now looks just like the app bar for any other Windows Phone app, and it gives a nice sense of continuity. So there's the phone gap app bar button. So I'll click refresh. And every time I click it, it'll just give me the latest date and time. So that's one type of interactivity. That's within the app. Now let's say you didn't like that and you didn't want to do anything to change the UI of your app between the different platforms. That's fine. Still a lot of interesting things you can do. One of them is to integrate with Bing Search. So if I open a project here that is, again, a phone gap application, but it's a Bing Maps search task. And we will go down into our www folder. And down in our, that's not where we want. In our main page, we have a search with Bing Maps button. And this map button is going to call the show gap function. Here's the show map function. I'm going to get my current position, and I'm going to then show any items that are found near that position. So this would be how I would search for Starbucks near me. Now this Bing Maps plugin is actually a little bit of C# code that bridges the gap between phone gap and the Windows Phone application. If I go into the plugins library here, you'll see I have this PG Bing Maps, and this just defines the connection between my phone gap JavaScript and my Windows Phone application. Let's go ahead and run this. I'm going to simulate my location services. So in my emulator, I'm actually going to pretend I'm at a certain location. I'm going to put 30009, which is, or 30002, which is Atlanta. I'm not actually in Florida, as Edwin said. I'm in Atlanta.
Oops.
And this detected the geolocation API is aborted. So if I set my point right here, that's going to be where the application and the phone emulator thinks I am. So now, if I type in Starbucks, and I'll search, it should give me Starbucks that are near that location. Oops. Oh, I was looking for that earlier. Yeah. Let me do a clear map here. Go back, and we'll try something else. We'll try... Let's try coffee. Okay. Well, let's just try Atlanta. It's a little bit bigger than coffee. Hopefully we can find that. Very good. Okay, so there's Atlanta. Yeah, it worked. Really, that's the types of things you can do with the interactivity. So that particular customization didn't require me to change anything about my phone gap application. So that's another approach as well. I have all of these samples that I'm showing here posted on my blog, which is at glenngordon.name. You can go there, and I've got a bunch of phone gap entries in here. So that's something you can check out. Edwin, any questions out there?
Let's see. Opening it up for questions. No one. Going once? All right, go ahead.
Wait, so you searched Starbucks and coffee earlier. Is this like, just a special case with the emulator not working, or does it actually not work?
Is it a special case where the emulator is not working, or does it actually not work for the search for coffee?
I don't know. One way you can duplicate that is if we went to search here, and we went to look for coffee. This actually worked, so it found coffee near me. So I think it was just something quirky in the demo. Or maybe the emulator hadn't caught up. Oh, look, Dancing Goats Coffee Bar. That's interesting. What's that? Oh, that sounds good.
All right. Well,
yeah, so that's, what you're doing is you're tapping into these Bing searches from your application. And really, it should have found coffee near your location. I'm not sure why it didn't.
was there like a search radius maybe? Yeah.
Could be. Could have been.
Okay. And one more question.
When the Zune first came out, one of the things that differentiated it from the iPod was that you had this whole social networking aspect to it, where you could like share music with people and like tell them what you're listening to. And the Zune failed like when it was compared in stats to the iPod in sales. So when it comes to
we don't say it failed. It sort of morphed.
When it comes to the iOS having such a strong market and the Android having such a strong market, how will Windows Phone play against these two big competitors when at the moment it's not that strong?
How will Windows Phone play against the two competitors when it's not a super strong phone right now, or a super?
Like the Zune and just morph out of the market, or?
Will Zune morph out of the market? I mean, Dean covered a bit of it, but go ahead. Go ahead, Glenn.
Right. Zune is a larger brand name that more has to do with the services and the players independently. In fact, the full name of it was a Zune player. The music within Windows Phone, the music marketplace, that's Zune. Within the Xbox 360, when you go into the music and the video player, that's Zune. So that, that's still around. I think the question at the beginning was whether that social aspect of Zune is still going to be there. Is that right?
Where is it? How do you want to summarize your question? Sort of what is the answer you're looking for?
How would the Windows Phone compete against?
How will the Windows Phone compete against iOS and Android?
Fantastic partners like Nokia. And great applications, which the next best application has not been written yet. So you guys are poised to do so.
Do you have an answer to?
Because I'm not mic'd here, so.
Oh,
Just to kind of summarizing what I was actually trying to get at before is that if you look at industry analysts, and again, this is not either of us talking, but they're not kidding. They're saying that because of our excellence